I realized that life is hard and you have to kind of take what it gives you. Everything came easy to me. Everything.
Competitive fire. Unforgettable moments. College tennis players tune up for a tournament tomorrow with teams from the Atlantic Sun Conference. But tonight brings a chance to wear pretty dresses as these student athletes celebrate at a special dinner. The guest speaker is a former tennis player named Blake McMeans, who could have beaten anyone in this audience. Could have beaten just about anyone, anywhere.
He was amazing. He was always in the top 10 and lots of times in the top 5 in the country and very heavily recruited.
Blake was top 10 in the world. He was very unusually gifted athletically. He was a great athlete for a tennis player.
And at dinner tonight, Blake McMeans, star athlete, has the undivided attention of everyone here before he ever says a word.
My name is Blake McMeans. I'm here to talk to you about drinking and driving. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And if you saw me walk up here to the podium, you saw a picture of someone who decided to drink and drive.
Blake remembers when he was about to be a college tennis player himself. About to be. Not only was he gifted athletically, but also academically. He had graduated early from high school and decided to stay in his hometown of Knoxville to follow in the footsteps of his dad, who had been a star player and captain of the University of Tennessee football team.
I thought he was going to be a pro. He was going to go to the University of Tennessee with Coach Mike DePalma for a year or two, and then he was going to go on the circuit.
And Blake had lots of friends. He was surrounded by people who admired him.
I was voted best looking at my school. I was like one of the most popular guys.
It was great to grow up with a stud big brother, you know, great athlete, always one of the coolest guys on campus.
So it's no surprise that Blake was recruited by some of the top fraternities at the University of Tennessee.
Everything was kind of like a celebrity status for me around Knoxville.
But not everything is as perfect as it seems. As he will tell you now, Blake was sneaking alcohol from his parents' liquor cabinet when he was just 12 years old. And the older he got, the more he wanted to drink.
It was what everybody else was doing. And I didn't want to be like this big-time tennis player who didn't have fun.
Then something terrible happened. The worst thing Blake had ever faced in his young life.
My dad was jogging and he had a heart attack. They said he was dead before he hit the ground. I loved him with all my heart. It was devastating.
With grief as the catalyst, Blake started drinking even more. And as strange as it seems, his sister Blair was given a frightening glimpse into the future.
It sounds bizarre, but I had a dream that my mom was pushing a wheelchair and that it was Blake in the wheelchair.
On the evening of November 10th, 1994, Blake went to meet some of his future frat brothers from Sigma Chi at a hangout in an area known as the Strip, just off campus.
And I just said, please don't drink and drive back home. I can remember he was on his way out the door. He was in a hurry, and he was like, "Okay, Blair," you know. Just, I was being nagging.
Blake didn't want to hear any of it. He just wanted to have a good time. It was a big night, one he thought he would never forget.
I really don't remember that night, but I mean, I'm just going to go by previous nights. I probably had somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 beers, maybe more.
I was blindsided. I mean, for him to stand and say how much he was drinking just totally blew me away. I had no clue.
And then I drove every time. I don't know why. Man, I wish I did.
About 2:25 in the morning, our dispatch was notified from 911 center that there was a motor vehicle crash on North Shore Drive.
I remember my mom waking me up in the middle of the night in a state of panic.
Mr. McMeans, about where this vehicle is right now.
Half a mile from home.
Once he left this two-lane roadway with no shoulder, he came down the embankment through the trees in the woods here, knocking over several smaller trees.
Yeah, flipped 3 times.
The phone rang, and then I heard her screaming.
I could smell the strong odor of alcohol about his presence. And he's airlifted on out to the University Hospital.
You know, I just made one bad decision. That's it.
One mistake, just drinking that one time and that one wreck, and you know, once the wreck starts, you can't stop.
The rest is pretty evident.
When he reached the emergency room at the University of Tennessee Medical Center, the first priority was to keep Blake alive.
He was fortunate he wasn't aware of all the things that happened. The tube in his windpipe, the tube down his nose into his stomach, a tube into his bladder, pulling and poking, being stuck with IVs and given fluid, and then moved around so we can fully evaluate to see exactly what all the injuries are.
They had no hope for him.
At each and every point of Blake's case, he was at high risk for dying.
And I prayed, I will take him any way, Lord, I can get him. Just please don't take him away from me.
While Blake survived the initial trauma, he remained in a coma. His care transitioned from trauma surgeons to specialists in rehabilitative medicine, and the chances of significant recovery seemed unlikely.
Blake was very, very severely damaged. Many people with his kind of injury die. They don't make it to the next level.
I was unconscious for 3 months, almost 4. So it was a pretty long time.
He was paralyzed in both arms, both legs. Still, the right was severely paralyzed, couldn't do anything with it. And the left side, just some partial movements.
But it wasn't just Blake who was hurt. This is the kind of injury that devastates an entire family.
I really struggled as his mother, you know. Here's a kid who had it all, and I don't understand that anything would be so great that you, Lord, who are so wonderful, would allow this to happen.
I was scared. I was angry too. Finding out you can't walk, you can't speak, Now those are pretty major blows.
We would literally have to tie him in the chair, prop his head up with the neck thing, and take him into therapy and beg him to hold us, you know, try to get his head up, try to blink. I mean, he had to learn to swallow. It took him a year to learn to swallow.